Rigidity, tightness in limbs, it affects all the muscles, it responds well to medication. So people who generally are diagnosed with Parkinson's and rigidity is their primary motor symptom, they do the best with the dopaminergic medications. It limits their speed of movement. Cogwheeling occurs in the rigidity, which is kind of jerky, ratchet-like movements. Like if they're going to move their hand and they're here, and then it'll go like that. Or if you cue them, tactile cueing, and you put your hand here, you might experience a jerk movement, right? So don't panic. You haven't done anything. It's just part of the whole rigidity basket. So lead pipe, constant resistant to motion throughout the entire range of motion. So that's where it's just so stiff. It's hard to move through a full range of movement. And it includes fatigue. Now, the fatigue is different, I would say, than the tremor fatigue a bit. The rigidity fatigue comes from the fact that everything's tightening, it's contracting, right? So contraction in the muscle involves a lot of energy. So you're tired from constantly contracting. Like if you do this and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, right? Of course, your arm's going to be tired. Akinesia. So akinesia is a loss of spontaneous voluntary movement. It could also be absence of movement. So you can just think of the A for akinesia and A, absence of movement. It can cause pain and stiffness as well. And along with that akinesia category are two other movement kind of disorders. One is bradykinesia, which is a very slowed down movement. So slowness of movement, reduction of amplitude and repetitive movements. This is why, for example, other programs say that they want you to use big movements. Everybody has to move their arms big or move their leg big, bigger movements, because in bradykinesia, there is a definitive reduction of movement. So this, for most people, might become this, you know. Dyskinesia is involuntary muscle movement and reduced voluntary movement. It can be erratic. There's different kinds of dyskinesia as well. One that you'll see will be a writhing one of the arms, the trunk, or the legs. It's not really a symptom of Parkinson's disease, but it can be caused by long-term use of the medications that are employed to treat Parkinson's disease. So that's kind of like the irony, or the unfortunate, very unfortunate irony of Parkinson's disease, is that you could be taking your medicine and it's helping with your motor symptoms, but in the long run, it's going to cause the same motor symptoms that you're trying to get rid of or quell, right? So that's akinesia. And then PIGD is postural instability and gait disorder. So PIF, postural instability with falling, is an aspect of PIGD. Parkinson's gait, that would be shuffling gait, a stooped posture, a reduced arm swing. Retropulsion is the thing where they start going backwards a little, and then there's those quick baby back steps. That would lead them to a loss of balance generally and a falling backward, which is different than PSP. Fog, which is freezing of gait, occurs very often. And so there's some different techniques that you'll learn how to work with clients like that. And a festination gait, which is kind of like an involuntary quickened step with little baby steps. You may have seen it before. It becomes really little steps. So, and a tendency to hurry. That's all in postural instability and gait disorder. So I want to bring this up to you because if we look at these four predominant motor symptoms, tremor, rigidity, akinesia, and PIGD, it's going to inform your training and the setup of your programming a little bit differently. Example, if my client's primary motor symptom is tremor, it may be good for them to work with a prop in their hands, okay? If my client's primary motor symptom is rigidity, I know that I'm going to be emphasizing stretching and flexibility throughout the workout. And their homework is always going to be something stretch and flexibility related, different ways to pull them back open. If my client's primary motor symptom is akinesia or bradykinesia, I already know that I'm going to get through maybe 3 primary exercise segments, and I'm going to be taking lots of time, and cueing very slowly. I'll probably be repeating myself a few times, all with love and compassion, of course. But I know in my head that this is going to be a slower session, right? And if my client's predominant motor symptom is PIGD, I automatically know that we're going to be working ambulation and gait, okay? Anything that relates to that. We're going to be definitely working where there's a wall or a chair or a quick place to offload for balance. So these are some of the things that you start to think about once you know what the primary motor symptoms are.